Now, the automotive industry has green-lighted the appointment of Minister Barbara Creecy as Transport Minister. Creecy is the 11th minister in this portfolio since 1994, which could be a cause for concern, as continuity is often what drives government departments. Senior motoring reporter for Business Day, Phuti Mpyane, joins us now for a look into the automotive industry's wish list for the new Transport Minister, Barbara Creecy. Thank you so much for your time, Phuti. Well, as much as it is the 11th minister in this portfolio, it doesn't seem to really have bothered the stakeholders in the transport industry, because it does seem to be a welcome change. Just to start us off with, how collaborative has the government and private transport players been in recent years?
Thank you for having me. Look, it's been an interesting relationship over the years because you can see in some aspects the government sort of engages the industry.
Yeah.
And in some issues as well, there seems to be an impasse between the two sides, So it's always a balancing act, For starters, you say you've got the 11th minister?
Yes.
But the e-tolls have been fighting for 12 years.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So you can see how many ministers went through before that whole thing was resolved. So yeah, it's a continuous dynamic that we will live with going forward, I suppose.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm keen to get then the thoughts on some of the things that the sector would like to see the minister get on with right away. Also just considering how badly the sector has performed, the automotive sector, and that's really because of macro conditions.
Yes, indeed. The bad performances obviously have got a lot to do with affordability. We've been saying that. However, there are underlying issues which have been there. For instance, we've got a couple of organizations with interest in the Department of Transport, the likes of Automotive, who again famously championed the fight against e-tolls. To them, they're saying, look, we would like to see public transport taken more seriously, safety as well. Because we still have a problem with a high rate of fatalities on our roads. NADA, which is the National Automotive Dealer Association, they have an interesting one because they have to deal with AUTO, the new act, when it comes to demerit points. And what they're basically saying is, how is the government going to work out, for instance, if, say, a tourist comes into the country and they leave without paying the traffic fine, of which the demerits now fall to the car if they cannot find the person who was actually driving it. And if the car has demerits, the dealers can't sell it until that is resolved. It's a lot. You've got Sambra. Sambra, they are an association that deals with vehicle salvage. When you crash your car, it's those guys who fix them. So they've got an issue there in that there is no transparency between cars which are crashed and deemed unfit for repair, because we do find some are slipping through. People are buying cars which are fundamentally not correct to be driven on the road.
Yeah.
So they need clarity from there.
They're also calling for periodic testing of vehicles.
Yes.
Where do we currently stand on that, and what would the changes really entail?
Look, they are talking in terms of international standards. They're looking at the UK specifically. They've got an MOT system where, when you say periodic, right now we're looking at about 5 years where you have to test your car. So there's a whole lot of, what do we do it sooner? If we do it sooner, that means more cars with defects can be identified sooner. If we extend it, that means more cars which are unsafe to drive on the roads actually linger more on the roads. So it's a catch-22 situation.
Okay. Another tricky one here, Phuti, is the issue, I guess, of corruption. And we know that in vehicle testing, the whole real ecosystem of getting to become a driver and then, of course, having a vehicle, that is one that is filled in South Africa with many cool drinks along the way. And I'm wondering if this is something that the industry has flagged, if it is seen as a matter of urgency.
It absolutely has been. It is one of Outa's specific wish list, in fact, in terms of corruption, deal with corruption, because, as you say, the cool drinks, that has an adverse effect. If somebody just simply does not get the proper training or the licensing, and they are given the license to drive, that puts risk of everybody, including myself, you, on the road, because that person has got it purely by buying a cool drink. So they are saying, let's look at how we are going to do that. So it's a lot on the new minister's plate.
I just got thirsty for the real cool drink. Phuti, you spoke about the vehicles that have been in accidents that are basically uneconomical to repair. Is the industry calling for a change in treatment of those vehicles or just more transparency? Okay,
what's happening there is if a vehicle gets into an accident, for instance, and let's say it is insured, the vehicle goes into the system, and nobody knows what happens to it. We don't know. They don't know whether it comes back as a pre-owned car. They don't know what is the collision. Should it have been fixed for road use, or was the damage too much to actually, you see? So there is no transparency there. The issue with the South African Insurance Institute, what needs to happen there is the organization say, create a database of these cars that have been crashed, that go into that, so that dealers are able to access information on that car and say, okay, that car is unrepairable. So they put a flag on it, so it doesn't end up in your garage.
But sorry, before Nolu goes in, would that not then affect the auction industry?
It is all part of it.
Okay.
That is all part of it. So they require a database that says, in terms of the VIN number of this car, people can trace the history of this car. This car was crashed or it was driven by so-and-so. These are all things that the organizations are actually asking the minister to say, please, sort this out.
And lastly, the issue of public transport, I think South Africa has lagged a lot in public transport, Phuti here. And of course, we know that the issue of public transport can be resolved at national level, but also at local government level. And I'm wondering, just based on that item on Minister Creecy's to-do list, where exactly are people hoping that she will locate it?
Look, I think the organizations here wouldn't have what you call is a vested interest in that specific outlook. That is a pure government issue in terms of a service that they must provide. And right now we've got your BRTs, we've got the issues with the trains. Until all that is sorted, the main transport for people is taxis, which is not a government issue. Exactly, it's private players. So we wonder what the minister can do about that. The best way is probably just to bring standards of safety. I don't think they can actually move to absorbing taxes and saying this is part of a government program that we'll run with. So yeah, good luck, Minister.
Yeah, indeed. Well, thank you so much for your time and giving us insights on that, Phuti. That was Phuti Mpyane, Senior Motoring Reporter for Business Day.